philosophy, mathematics, democracy. We're taught these pillars of civilization were forged in ancient Greece in marble halls by men like Aristotle, Plato, and Pythagoras. But what if this story isn't just incomplete? What if it's a calculated lie? What if the brightest minds of Greece were the students, not the masters? And what if the knowledge they claimed was first learned from a powerful African empire, one they later helped erase? Tonight, we travel to the Horn of Africa, to the highlands of modern-day Ethiopia, and Eritrea, to the heart of the forgotten Aksumite Empire. This is the story of a heist, the hijacking of history itself. For centuries, we've been sold the myth of the Greek miracle, the idea that rational thought and science burst into the world from Athens spontaneously, magically. But this fantasy ignores thousands of years of civilization before Greece, especially in Africa and the Near East. Even the Greeks admitted it. Thales, the so-called first philosopher, traveled to Egypt to study geometry and astronomy. Pythagoras, his own legends say he studied in Egyptian temples. In the Pythagorean theorem, it existed in Babylon 1,000 years before Pythagoras breathed air. Greek knowledge wasn't born in Greece. It was inherited from African and Mesopotamian civilizations. Martin Burnell's Black Athena exposed this uncomfortable truth that European historians of the 18th and 19th centuries, driven by racism, severed Greece from Africa. They couldn't accept that their cradle of civilization sat in Africa's shadow, and at the heart of the knowledge they tried to erase was Aksum. While Greek city-states fought over scraps, Africa's Aksumite empire was rising. In the 3rd century AD, the Persian prophet Mani named Aksum one of the 4 great powers of the world, alongside Rome, Persia, and China. From the Ethiopian highlands, Aksum commanded the Red Sea, the arteries of ancient global trade. Its port city, Agilis, buzzed with merchants from Egypt, Arabia, India, and China. Gold, ivory, emeralds, incense flowed out. Silk, spices, glass flowed in. Aksum was no provincial backwater, was a cosmopolitan superpower. Under King Indibis, Aksum minted its own coins, one of Africa's first states to do so. Greek on one side, Ge'ez on the other. A declaration: we speak your language, but we stand on our own. A Greek text, the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, describes the Aksumite king Sosgalis as fluent in Greek and well-versed in Greek literature. This wasn't the civilized Greek teaching the primitive African, This was a partnership between equals. A truth history tried to rewrite. Aksum's power was not just economic. It was architectural engineering brilliance carved into stone. The Aksumite stele remains some of the world's greatest monolithic structures, The Great Stele, now fallen to 108 feet tall and weighed over 520 tons. One of the largest stones ever raised by human hands. This required math, physics, logistics, and organization on an astonishing scale. Then there's the obelisk of Aksum, 24 meters tall, 160 tons, carved to resemble a multi-story building. These stelae were not mere tombstones. They were cosmic ladders, monuments linking earth to heaven. Their existence alone destroys the myth of Greek superiority in engineering and mathematics. Here, in Africa, stands granite truth. Knowledge did not flow only out of Greece. It flowed into it. The story of Aksum's obelisk didn't end in Africa. In 1937, Mussolini's troops invaded Ethiopia. In an act of colonial arrogance, they stole the obelisk, cut it into 3 pieces, shipped it to Rome, raised it in an Italian square as a fascist trophy. For 68 years, Africa's monument stood under European skies. It's a symbol of theft, physical and intellectual. But in 2005, after decades of struggle, it finally returned home. A victory for Ethiopia, a return of stolen identity. Aksum's erasure wasn't limited to monuments. Under King Ezana, Aksum became one of the world's first Christian states. He stamped the cross on his coins, a move as revolutionary as anything in Rome. Yet, when Europe narrates Christian history, it centers itself. Aksum, a powerhouse of early Christianity, disappears from the chapter. The flow of ideas that built the ancient world was not one way. It was a conversation. One Africa was central too. If you believe these hidden stories deserve to be told, subscribe and share this video. The algorithm may try to bury history, but together we can bring it into the light. The idea of Greece as the sole cradle of civilization is not just wrong, it is a deliberate act of erasure. The Greek miracle was not a miracle. It was the product of millennia of shared knowledge in which Africa played a leading role. Aksum was not a passive receiver. It was a global power, master of trade, engineering, innovation, and faith. The fact that Aksum is missing from mainstream history is not an accident. It's a distortion. It is time to tear down the myths, to look past the propaganda, to restore Aksum to its rightful place in the memory of humankind. This is Reese from Powerful Individual saying thanks for watching, and if this was useful, please share, like, and subscribe please.